can you solve all these social anthropology questions? The study of fossils?
Perfect. Paleontology is the correct choice.
Study of human culture? Excellent choice. Anthropology is the right answer.
Archaeology is a brand of?
Nice selection. Anthropology is the correct and valid answer. Study of prehistoric fossils? Bravo. Paleontology is the answer.
Study of groups of social dynamics?
Correct response. Sociology is the most accurate answer. Who is the father of anthropology? You're right. Good Franz is the correct answer.
Social anthropology is a branch of?
Good thinking. Anthropology is the right answer.
How many types does anthropology has?
Correct. 4 is the right answer. Which is not a branch of anthropology. Sharp thinking. Climatology is the right choice. What is the study of humankind called? You got it? Your choice, anthropology, is right. Who wrote archaeology as anthropology? Nice work. You chose Lewis Binford, and it is correct. Biological anthropology used to be called. You chose physical anthropology, and it is correct. A decision reached after examining evidence. Smart pick. Conclusion is the correct choice. Which of these is not a social institution? Great job. Literature is the accurate answer.
Use skeletal body remains for identification?
Nicely done. Anthropology is a solid answer. The process of replacing cartilage with bone. Well picked. Ossification is the correct answer. How many branches of anthropology are there? Right choice. 4 is the best answer. Which are the 4 subdivisions of anthropology? On track. Biological, cultural, linguistic, archaeology is the correct answer. Cultural bias in anthropology is described as? Strong choice. Ethnocentrism is the right answer. The term social anthropology was originated in? Right again. United Kingdom is a valid answer. It is a science that studies human civilization. Excellent. Sociology is a brilliant choice. Anthropology is the combination of the Greek words. Well reasoned. Anthropos and logos is the correct choice.
How long has Clemson offered a major in anthropology?
Clear logic? Your choice 11 years is sound. The study of objects to learn about past human life. Well done. Archaeology is the right choice. It is the scientific study of human life and culture. Exactly, anthropology makes sense. Describes the similarities and differences in culture. Smart move. Cultural anthropology is an accurate answer. Economic anthropology is a main branch of anthropology. Solid response. False is a valid choice. The term anthropology came from which 2 Greek words? Good job. Logos and anthros works well here. What is the insider perspective called in anthropology? Great thinking. Emic is the right choice. What function does witchcraft serve within a Zandi society?
Valid point. Blaming someone for misfortunes is true. It is often defined as who gets what, when, where, and how.
Nice selection. Political science is the correct and valid answer.
In which branch of anthropology would genetics be studied? You got it. Your choice, biological anthropology, is right. Elements of culture that exist in all known human societies. Good job. Cultural universal works well here. What is not one of the primary 4 fields of anthropology? Good thinking. Business anthropology is the right answer. The study of humans from a biological perspective is called great thinking. Physical anthropology is the right choice. Studies the biological dimensions of humans and other primates. Correct. Physical anthropology is the right answer. The physical record of a person's life as told by their bones. Perfect. Osteobiography is the correct choice. It is the systematic study of society and social interactions. Right again. Sociology is a valid answer. Study of humanity from a broad and biological perspective dash. Correct response. Anthropology is the most accurate answer. One of the goals is to avoid conflict and promote cooperation. Exactly. Political science makes sense. What did Frank Cushing contribute to the world of anthropology? You're right. Participant observation is the correct answer. This is everything that a person learns as a member of a society. On track. Culture is the correct answer. Dash is one of the fields of study in sociocultural anthropology. Smart pick. Anthropology of symbols is the correct choice. Ethnology and linguistics belong to which field of anthropology? Solid response. Cultural is a valid choice. Shamanic practices are within the scope of cultural anthropology. Excellent choice. Not given is the right answer. Which topic is of particular interest to a social anthropologist? Sharp thinking. Kinship and law is the right choice. Dash is the study of human culture and how it develops over time. Well done. Anthropology is the right choice. Dash states that symbols influence us and initiate social action. Excellent. Victor Turner is a brilliant choice. Something that shows proof or an indication that something is true. Well picked. Evidence is the correct answer. It started as the study of non-European people by European people. Bravo. Political science is the answer. Dash is the study of the past by looking at what people left behind. Valid point. Archaeology is true. Are the accepted standards of behavior of social groups? Subheading. You chose social norms, and it is correct. Which of the following is not a sub-branch of physical anthropology? Nice work. You chose ethnolinguistic, and it is correct. Refers to the ties or connections that link you to your social group. Right choice. Social network is the best answer. Which of the following is not a method of anthropology and sociology? Great job.
Laboratory research is the accurate answer.
Which of these is most closely associated with cultural anthropology?
Strong choice. Social sciences is the right answer.
Which of the following is not a major area in biological anthropology?
Clear logic. Your choice ethnology is sound.
It is the organized agency in a state tasked to impose social control.
Nicely done. Government is a solid answer.
A class of individuals with similar physical characteristics are called.
Smart move. Species is an accurate answer. Ralph Piddington talked about some general aims in social anthropology. Well reasoned. False is the correct choice.
Discipline of anthropology that deals with the study of human genetics.
You're right. Biological and physical anthropology is the correct answer.
Which of the following kinds of work would applied anthropology include?
Well picked. All of the above is the correct answer.
Which field of anthropology studies the relationships of people in groups?
Correct response. Social anthropology is the most accurate answer.
Investigation of past cultures through the excavation of materials remains.
Strong choice. Archaeology is the right answer.
Which of these is not included in the four main subfields of anthropology?
Right choice. Applied anthropology is the best answer. It deals with the archaeological sites on land, both open and cave sites. Great job. Terrestrial is the accurate answer.
It sees the commonalities among people.
Clear logic. Your choice anthropology is sound.
Which of the following studies the remains and artifacts of ancient people?
Excellent. Archaeology is a brilliant choice.
Is enriched by contributions from various disciplines and goes beyond them.
Right again. Anthropology is a valid answer.
Which field of anthropology studies the language structure of the Seminoles?
What? Excellent choice. Linguistic anthropology is the right answer.
It refers to the ways of life learned and shared by people in social groups.
You chose culture, and it is correct.
Focused on the study remains in an attempt to describe the behavior of human.
Nice selection. Archaeological anthropology is the correct and valid answer.
What subfield of anthropology focuses on studying and interpreting artifacts?
Good thinking. Archaeology is the right answer.
What is the scientific study of past human cultures and civilizations called?
Nicely done. Archaeology is a solid answer.
Its goal is to keep social order and harmony among different groups of people.
Smart pick. Political science is the correct choice.
An anthropologist examines a decomposed body to determine the cause of death.
Perfect. Cultural anthropology is the correct choice.
The creation of a state was a mutual agreement between the ruler and the ruled.
Good job. Social contract works well here.
All the physical objects or artifacts that people make and attach meaning to.
Bravo. Material culture is the answer.
Which field of anthropology studies the symbols, laws, and values of a society?
Valid point. Cultural anthropology is true.
What was the most common kind of anthropology in the late 1800s to early 1900s? Well reasoned. Salvage anthropology is the correct choice. One of the aims of cultural anthropology is to gather information about nature. Exactly. False makes sense. Is the study of human beings as a species and as members of different cultures. Great thinking. Anthropology is the right choice. Studies the way of life of contemporary and historically recent human societies. Solid response. Cultural anthropology is a valid choice. Studies language in its social and cultural context across space and over time.
You got it. Your choice, linguistic anthropology, is right.
Which field of anthropology studies the artifacts of ancient Mayan civilizations? Sharp thinking. Archaeology is the right choice. It is the systematic study of political and government institutions and processes. Smart move. Political science is an accurate answer. Dash are closely intertwined and shape and reflect social norms and power dynamics. On track. Gender and language is the correct answer. DNA found only in the mitochondria that is inherited through mothers, never fathers. Well done. Mitochondrial DNA is the right choice. Cultural anthropology studies the similarities and differences among Dash societies. Correct. Both of them is the right answer. This theory believes that each society has its own particular historical development. Nice work! You chose historical particularism, and it is correct. The field of science that would be involved in identifying skeletal remains is called. Correct response. Forensic anthropology is the most accurate answer. What is the term for the study of human societies and cultures and their development? Strong choice. Anthropology is the right answer. One of the aspects of social anthropology's scope is studying the agrarian societies. Exactly, true makes sense. It includes the study of communications origins, history, and contemporary variation. You got it? Your choice, linguistic anthropology, is right. It is the study of past human cultures through the recovery and analysis of artifacts. Bravo! Archaeology is the answer. The study of origin, behavior, as well as the physical, social and cultural development. Nice selection. Anthropology is the correct and valid answer. He is one of the known sociologists who studied social inequality and power struggles. Solid response. Karl Marx is a valid choice. Study of institutions, marriage, family, or processes such as change and social mobility.
Perfect. Sociology is the correct choice.
Refers to the study of living people and their cultures, including variation and change. Good job. Cultural anthropology works well here. Cultural anthropology asks whether human emotions are universal or culturally specific. Well picked. True is the correct answer. Studies the interrelationships between language and other aspects of a people's culture. You're right. Linguistics is the correct answer. It is the in-depth study of everyday life and practice of individuals or social groups.
Smart move. Ethnography is an accurate answer.
Which field of anthropology studies how people in a society communicate with each other?
Right choice. Linguistic anthropology is the best answer. What is the branch of anthropology that studies the cultural aspects of human societies? Clear logic. Your choice, sociocultural anthropology, is sound. Created by a society to address and satisfy the social and personal needs of the people. Great thinking. Institutions is the right choice. Which subfield of anthropology focuses on the study of language and its role in society? Well reasoned. Linguistic anthropology is the correct choice. Which of these men believed that social change would result from the struggle of classes? Great job. Karl Marx is the accurate answer. The practical use of anthropological theories and methods outside the academic setting is. Well done. Applied anthropology is the right choice. Uses anthropological perspectives, theory and knowledge to solve real-world problems. Excellent. Applied anthropology is a brilliant choice. People or institutions which shape an individual's social development is considered to be. Right again. An agent of socialization is a valid answer. A branch of anthropology that focuses on the content and variation of particular cultures. Smart pick. Sociocultural anthropology is the correct choice. A distinguishing feature of anthropology is its approach to the study of human groups. Correct? Holistic is the right answer. Discipline of anthropology that focuses on use of language in a particular time and society. On track. Linguistic anthropology is the correct answer. This is the study of society, patterns of social interactions, and culture of everyday life. You chose sociology, and it is correct. Which of the following specialties did not emerge from the practice of applied anthropology? Nice work. You chose cultural anthropology, and it is correct. Which of the following studies culture from their belief systems, practices, and possessions? Sharp thinking. Cultural anthropology is the right choice. Notion that the beliefs and behaviors of individuals are programmed by their cultural context. Valid point. Cultural determinism is true. Preservation of cultural diversity and respect for traditions in this period of globalization. Excellent choice. Anthropology is the right answer. The study of physical anthropology as it applies to human skeletal remains in a legal setting. Nicely done. Forensic anthropology is a solid answer. Emile Durkheim, Auguste Comte, Pierre Bourdieu and Max Weber are the main representatives of Good thinking. Sociology is the right answer. Choose the most appropriate answer. Nowadays, social anthropology focuses a little bit more on. Clear logic. Your choice social systems is sound. It studies the materials remains of humans, best known for the study of prehistoric cultures. Good job. Archaeology works well here. Notion that the cultural differences are due to or influenced by one's physical characteristics.
Nice work. You chose biological determinism, and it is correct.
It is the study of humanity, including our prehistoric origins and contemporary human diversity.
You're right. Anthropology is the correct answer. It deals with the study of the nature of humanity, which also leads to examine our social role. Excellent. Sociology is a brilliant choice. Which subfield of anthropology examines the ways in which people use language to create meaning? You got it? Your choice, linguistic anthropology, is right. Framing legislative policies abolishing or limiting political dynasties all over the Philippines. Nice selection. Political science is the correct and valid answer.
The investigation of the marks on bone and the condition to uncover a potential cause of death.
You chose skeletal trauma analysis, and it is correct. Focuses on the special interest, human evolution as revealed by the fossils, human genetics, etc. Well-reasoned, biological anthropology is the correct choice. One of the goals is to study the nature of humanity, to further examine our roles within a society. Solid response. Sociology is a valid choice. What interdisciplinary study explores how language shapes communication and influences social life? Correct. Linguistic anthropology is the right answer. It entails political ideas, ideologies, institutions, policies, processes, laws, strategy, and war. Great job. Political science is the accurate answer. This theory believes that social order was considered a given, rather than something to be explained. Right again. Neo-functionalism is a valid answer. Which field of anthropology studies how goods and services are produced and distributed in a society? Good thinking. Social anthropology is the right answer. It pertains to the study of the effects of various social organizations to the population's behavior. Strong choice. Human ecology is the right answer.
Which field of anthropology studies fossil remains to learn how human characteristics have developed?
Perfect. Physical anthropology is the correct choice. It reconstructs, describe, and interpret human behavior and cultural patterns through material remains. Well picked. Archaeological anthropology is the correct answer.
A social scientist reports the findings at the conclusion of a study of rural schools in North Dakota.
Exactly. Case study makes sense. In which of these social sciences is the study of monetary purchases of a household most often explored? Valid point. Economics is true. Which of the following types of cultural anthropology would be considered the least applied in its focus? Well done. Ethnography is the right choice. Anthropology aimed very purposefully at practical results is referred to as anthropology. On track. Applied is the correct answer. Which facial feature is the most distinguishing among the three main races in forensic anthropology? Bravo. Prognathism tax objective A.5 is the answer. Another branch on anthropology that deals with the material remain of the past and present cultural systems. Sharp thinking. Archaeology is the right choice. What is the branch of linguistic anthropology that involves dissecting a language and analyzing its features? Right choice. Descriptive linguistics is the best answer.
Dash also looks at prehistoric times. Paleontologists study fossils to learn what the world was like long ago.
Great thinking. Paleontology is the right choice. Which of the anthropological subfields most prepares a student with the skills for success in the 21st century?
Correct response. Cultural anthropology is the most accurate answer.
What is the term for the systematic study of human remains to understand past populations and their lifestyles? Excellent choice. Biological anthropology is the right answer.
It is the study of culture through the interpretation of the meaning of symbols, values, and beliefs in society.
Nicely done. Symbolic anthropology is a solid answer.
If you were interested in languages, their origin and development, which branch of anthropology would you study?
Smart move. Linguistics is an accurate answer.
What is the branch of anthropology that studies the relationship between human societies and their environments?
Smart pick. Cultural ecology is the correct choice.
The social relations implied in the extensive use of material power and machinery in all processes of production.
Bravo! Industrialism is the answer.
Which social scientist would most likely study an account of the formal surrender of Germany on November 11, 1918?
Great job. Historian is the accurate answer.
The goal is to discover what makes people different from each other in order to understand and preserve diversity.
Great thinking. Anthropology is the right choice.
What is the branch of anthropology that focuses on the study of human remains and their biological characteristics?
Nice selection. Biological anthropology is the correct and valid answer.
This is concerned with the specific intent of yielding practical applications for human behavior and organizations.
Smart move. Applied sociology is an accurate answer. The scientific study of the origins and behavior, as well as the physical, social, and cultural development of humans.
You're right. Anthropology is the correct answer.
This includes the study of social institutions, social inequality, social mobility, religious groups, and bureaucracy.
Excellent. Social organization is a brilliant choice.
Which subfield of anthropology studies the cultural beliefs, practices, and social institutions of different societies?
Smart pick. Cultural anthropology is the correct choice.
Choose the correct option.
Right choice. Archaeological anthropology is the best answer.
What is the term for the practice of learning a people's culture through social participation and personal observation?
Exactly. Participant observation makes sense. What determines an individual's language, activities, social mobility, and hierarchical position in a specific culture?
Valid point. Age and gender is true.
Which field of anthropology is primarily interested in the prehistory and early history of societies and their cultures?
Well done. Archaeology is the right choice.
Which perspective recognizes that cultural differences are the result of geographical, historical, and social conditions?
Correct response. Cultural relativism is the most accurate answer.
It is an academic discipline that deals with the study of government and political processes, institutions, and behaviors.
You got it. Your choice political science is right.
What is the branch of linguistic anthropology that studies the relationship between language and social cultural contexts?
Strong choice. Sociolinguistics is the right answer. Which field of anthropology studies the material creations of a society, including artwork, housing, tools, and architecture? Sharp thinking. Cultural anthropology is the right choice.
This theory is basically materialistic. It assumes that the systems of producing material goods influences and shapes society.
Correct. Marxist anthropology is the right answer. The study of groups and their behavior. Well picked. Sociology is the correct answer.
The key factors in and determinants of socio-cultural evolution are the infrastructures that include technology, environment, and material conditions.
Well reasoned. Cultural materialism is the correct choice. The analysis of differences in skeletal remains to determine identity is... Oh! Nice work. You chose forensic anthropology, and it is correct. The anthropological analysis of human biological and cultural remains for legal purposes. Good thinking. Forensic anthropology is the right answer. How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format? Perfect. Contact Narayan Chengder is the correct choice.